Yo, you gotta hear this one, man. Picture this, it's primetime live TV. The whole country's glued to their screens for a heated debate. The camera's panning across a slick studio set, and there's Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett sitting cool as ice, while Vice President Vance is rambling on about fixing education without spending a dime extra. Nobody's ready for what's coming. Not the moderator, not the White House aide sweating in the background, and definitely not Vance, who's already looking antsy in his seat. Then boom! Jasmine leans forward, and with one brutal line, she flips the whole script. She don't yell, don't even raise her voice, just locks eyes with the camera, and drops a bomb that stops everyone cold. You ready for the full story? Because this ain't just a viral moment. It's the spark that lit a fire for real change in America's forgotten classrooms. So here's how it went down. They're in the middle of this big panel on national TV, right? Vance just finished some long-winded spiel about bridging education gaps without bloating federal budgets. You know, the usual politician fluff. The camera cuts back to Jasmine, and she don't even blink. She pauses just long enough to make the whole room sit up straight, then lays it out real clear. If President Trump and Vice President Vance cared half as much about kids in struggling districts as they do about cameras and sound bites, maybe our children wouldn't still be learning in crumbling classrooms. Bro, it's like someone hit mute on the world. The panel freezes for a split second, half a heartbeat of pure silence. Even the moderator blinks, not sure if he should jump in or let that bombshell just hang there. You hear a faint wow off camera. Vance blinks twice like he got slapped, and Trump, sitting just 2 chairs down, clenches his jaw so hard you can see it on the close-up. He reaches for his mic, but Jasmine, she's already done. She leans back calm as ever, like she didn't just throw a grenade on live TV. Man, that line wasn't just a soundbite, it was a straight-up punch. And just like that, it's everywhere. By the time the segment wraps, Jasmine Crockett is blowing up on X, TikTok, Facebook, you name it. Within 15 minutes, her quotes clipped, captioned, and spreading like crazy through WhatsApp chats and Reddit threads. Teachers across the country are sharing it like it's gospel. Parents in broke-down districts are playing it at the dinner table, nodding like finally someone said it. Even student-run accounts are posting it next to videos of water-stained ceilings and textbooks so old they got dust on them. Meanwhile, Trump's team is scrambling. They rush a damage control segment on Newsmax that night, where Trump, sitting next to Vance, calls Jasmine's words a disgusting insult to the office and says she's attacking the country. Vance tries to play it smooth, mumbling something about respecting the process, but he's tripping over his own words. By morning, though, they've lost the plot. America ain't talking about decorum or insults. They're talking about moldy classrooms, overcrowded schools with busted heat, and teachers buying their own damn paper. See, Jasmine tapped into something real, something raw. She ain't some distant politician spouting abstract nonsense. She hit a nerve, 'cause folks know exactly what she's talking about. In Detroit, a teacher posts a pic of a broken ceiling tile in her room with the caption, "She's not wrong." In Bakersfield, a mom stitches Jasmine's clip with a video of her kid's school bathroom, 2 out of 4 stalls duct taped shut. In Toledo, a retired principal tweets, "Finally, someone said it on air. The White House trying to trash her only makes her look stronger, more real, like she's willing to say what nobody else will." And Jasmine, she don't even take a victory lap. No follow-up tweet, no interviews, no statement, just silence. And that silence, it makes folks lean in even harder. Who's this woman who just called out the president and VP in front of millions, then dipped behind the curtain? But that's the play, man. She said what needed saying, then let the country do the talking. Behind the scenes, though, stuff's already moving. While social media is still catching its breath, Jasmine's in a back room at the CNN studios in Arlington, Texas, surrounded by quiet. Her team's hovering 2 staffers glued to their phones, one staring at the wall looking shook. Nobody speaks at first. Then her chief of staff, Tisha Monroe, breaks it. "You know what you just did, right?" Jasmine looks up, peels off the mic, still clipped to her blazer, and shrugs a little. "Yeah," she says, real casual, "I told the truth." Tisha nods, but her fingers are flying across her screen notifications, popping off faster than she can read. Clips of Jasmine's line are exploding in education circles, celeb accounts, even international headlines. But with the hype comes the hate, death threats, disinfo, posts, reporters begging for a quote. Jasmine don't flinch. She just asks, "How's the phone line back at the district office?" Tisha glances up, ringing nonstop. A lot of teachers, a few mayors, even a Republican rep from Pennsylvania, left a voicemail, said he's been trying to say the same thing, but couldn't get airtime. Jasmine leans back. "Good, let them talk. It's their turn now." That night in a small hotel room near the studio, Jasmine ain't celebrating. She's sitting on the edge of her bed, flats-off blazer slung over a chair phone buzzing on the nightstand. The TV's on muted, looping Trump and Vance's response. Trump's ranting. "This is what happens when people think they're above the presidency. She's a disgrace." Vance chimes in. "She's playing with fire. You can't just lob grenades on live TV and expect no consequences." But Jasmine knows those ain't consequences, they're tremors. Signs something real shifted. Her phone lights up with a text from a teacher, Mrs. Egan, from Oak Ridge Elementary. "You don't know me, but I've been teaching second grade for 28 years. That one sentence tonight made me cry. Thank you. No emojis, no fluff, just a tired teacher saying something heavier than 1,000 pundit takes." Next morning, she's meeting her senior staff at a coffee shop in Fort Worth, tucked in a booth near the back, trying to keep it low-key. But folks are already recognizing her. A woman with a baby stops to say thanks. A teen in a school hoodie fist bumps her on his way out. Jasmine smiles but stays locked in. Her comms director, Malik, asks, "What's the plan?" She don't answer right away, just watches the sunlight cut across the table, then leans in. "We don't chase this. We guide it quietly. Let people tell their stories. We just make sure they're heard." Malik frowns. "We're getting requests from NPR, BBC, even 60 Minutes. You sure you don't want to say anything?" She shakes her head. "Not yet." Her aide Leah pulls out a laptop. "We've got 38 school districts reaching out. 4 want to organize roundtables, 2 invited you to visit." Jasmine cuts in. "Send me to the ones nobody cares about. Places where they've been begging for help and nobody's listening." Taisha raises an eyebrow. "That's Dayton, that's Yuma, all of them." Jasmine nods. "Then we start in Ohio. That's JD's home turf. Let's see if he likes those crumbling classrooms I mentioned." They all chuckle, but it's that tired, caffeinated laugh of folks who know a storm's building. And they ain't wrong. By Tuesday morning, the gloves are off. The White House press office drops a statement slamming Jasmine's comments as reckless political theater. Conservative lawmakers get a memo to trash her credibility, frame her as angry and hostile to unity. Vance hits a radio show in Cleveland saying Congresswoman Crockett didn't just insult the president, she insulted the American people. But here's the thing, folks don't feel insulted, and that just makes the administration more desperate. Jasmine's office gets flooded not just with praise, but with hate mail. Threats roll in through burner emails, some sloppy, some serious enough to forward to Capitol Police. One voicemail growls, "You want to play with fire, don't cry when it burns." Another just says, "Sit down, girl." Taisha's fielding most of it, and she's seen this before, but this feels louder, more coordinated. It ain't just fringe crazies, it's local officials, commentators, even some of Jasmine's colleagues, pulling her aside in Capitol hallways, whispering, "Just be careful, Jasmine. They're gonna come for you now." She smiles, polite but stone cold. Let 'em come. Behind her, calm though, a storm's brewing. Fox News runs 3 straight nights of coverage, framing her quote as an attack on American institutions. Pundits call her a grandstander. One host straight up asks if she even likes this country. But Jasmine ain't hiding. The next morning, she's on the steps of a school in Toledo, Ohio, invited by local teachers. Her team debated if she should go. Security concerns are spiking, but she insisted. "They want to scare me out of showing up," she told Malik. "That means I need to be there twice as loud." The school's a red brick mess, paint flaking off the windows, auditorium floor cracked. Principal Renita Fox apologizes for the state of it as they walk through. "I hate that you're seeing it like this," she says. Jasmine replies, "I'm glad I am." A teacher whispers to her, "I've had kids faint from the heat." In September, no AC in half the building. Outside, cameras catch Jasmine hugging a kid in a handmade shirt that reads, "Fix our schools before you fix your image." That photo hits the front page of 5 papers the next day, but back in D.C., it's already ammo for the other side. That night, Vance goes live again, more aggressive this time. She's not here to fix education, she's campaigning on division. That's what this is about. Trump echoes it at a rally in Des Moines. She's part of the radical left that wants to tear down everything we built. If you love your country, reject that nonsense. But not everyone in their camp is on board. A Republican school board member in Kansas tweets, "I don't agree with Crockett on most things, but she's not lying about those classrooms." Still, the pressure's mounting. In a closed-door education subcommittee meeting in D.C., Jasmine's the target of not-so-subtle jabs. A congressman from Louisiana smirks, "Some of us are here to legislate, not go viral." She stares him down across the table. "I didn't go viral 'cause I wanted to. I went viral 'cause the truth don't care about your comfort." He looks away. The meeting ends with no progress, but the message is clear lines are drawn. Folks ain't just disagreeing, they're pissed she disrupted the game. Malik vents about it later over dinner at a cramped diner outside Capitol Hill. They don't want change, they want quiet. Jasmine stirs her coffee. Then we're doing something right. And across the country, things are getting louder than anyone expected. The nation picks sides, but it ain't a clean split down party lines. It's deeper, cutting through communities, workplaces, families, between those who've seen the inside of these broken schools and those who haven't. A bus driver in Topeka tapes Jasmine's quote to her dashboard. Seniors in Charleston, West Virginia, hold a bake sale for their neighborhood school's busted windows and send her a letter with the check. A retired superintendent in Fresno posts a YouTube vid, "I've been quiet too long." She's not lying. She's late maybe, but she's right. But for every supporter, there's someone trying to drag her down. Conservative talk radio calls her another angry woman trying to burn it all down. A cable host replays her clip 23 times in one night, cutting her off mid-sentence for snarky commentary. The attacks are draining, but they're also helping. Every insult gives her more spotlight. Still, it's taking a toll. At her Dallas office, interns work late sorting mail. One box is all kids' notes, crayon drawings, hand-scrawled letters, some without stamps, just sticky notes passed to counselors who mailed them. One stands out from a fourth grader named Braylon in Abilene. "Dear Miss Crockett, I wish you were my teacher. We have mice." One ran across my desk and the teacher screamed, "I think you care because you said something real. Thank you." That letter stays in Jasmine's purse, but while praise pours in, the threats turn darker. One evening in Columbus, as she's getting out of a car, someone yells her name across a parking lot. She turns only to get blinded by a camera flash. A dude in a gray jacket snaps a pic, laughs, and walks off. "You good?" Malik asks, steps behind her. She nods. Just a reminder folks are watching. That night, Taisha sits her down at the hotel. "Jazz, we need to talk security. Capitol Police flagged 3 online threats. One mentioned your parents. They're escalating." Jasmine runs a hand through her hair. "I'm not hiding. I made a choice. I knew what came with it." "Taisha, don't budge. You didn't choose to be a target. They made you one." But the next morning, Jasmine's back at it, visiting a school in Erie, Pennsylvania, where 3 classes share one set of working science gear. A janitor shows her a boiler room doubling as textbook storage, reeking of rust and mildew. Reporters wait outside. One asks if she's scared. "No," she says flat out. "I'm furious. And if you saw what I saw, you would be too." That clip hits TikTok in an hour, becoming another viral moment. The convo shifts again. It ain't about whether Jasmine went too far. It's about why nobody said it first. Podcasts jump on it. Suburban parents who never heard of her start asking questions. Even PTA meetings quote her. In Minneapolis, black moms form a coalition called "We Hear You Jasmine," posting a video with pics of outdated classrooms over her broadcast audio. 600,000 views in a day. Jasmine don't retweet it. She don't need to. At night, she FaceTimes her mom, who keeps it real. "You look tired, baby, but you also look like you mean it." Jasmine replies, "I do, and I'm not done." But what's coming next pulls her into deeper waters, forcing her to face it all in real time. Her team tries to talk her out of going. Malik warns about the optics. Taisha flags rising security risks. Even her mom leaves a voicemail. "I know you're strong, but baby, please don't go looking for trouble." But Jasmine's mind is made up. She's heading to Dayton, Ohio, not the convention center or some polished charter school, but Fairland Elementary on the east side, an aging public school with barred windows and a gym doubling as a cafeteria. It's the kind of place politicians dodge unless they need a photo op, but Jasmine ain't there to pose. She shows up unannounced, no cameras, no press. Just her team, 2 plainclothes security, and a school counselor who invited her quietly via Facebook DM. Principal Anya Barker meets her at the door with 2 worn-out teachers. "You sure you want to be here?" Barker asks. Jasmine nods firm. "That's exactly why I'm here." They walk the halls, floors, scuffed vents, rattling the smell of cheap cleaner, barely masking the decay. Third graders wave through a cracked door. One girl points and whispers, "That's her," before ducking behind her desk. It's calm quiet, just what Jasmine wanted, until it ain't. Word leaks in an hour. 2 local news crews roll up, then a conservative site known for ambush interviews, shoving mics in faces, asking why she's weaponizing children and attacking the VP's home state. As Jasmine steps outside, protesters are at the curb, with signs, "Keep politics out of our classrooms," and "Stop lying about Ohio." One guy yells, Go back to Texas if you hate it here. She keeps walking security tight. Then a voice cuts through. Answer the question, Crockett. Why are you really here? It's Councilman Darrell Keene, a local Trump supporter, face red tie crooked. He steps past the cameras. You're dragging our schools through the mud on national TV. Is that leadership or just self-promotion? Jasmine stops. Nobody moves. Cameras zoom in. Protesters get louder. A teacher across the lot films on her phone. Then she steps toward him, not aggressive, just close enough to be heard. I'm here because your kids deserve better than crumbling ceilings and half-empty libraries, and if that bothers you more than the conditions inside that school, maybe you need to ask yourself why. Keene opens his mouth, then shuts it. The crowd murmurs. Reporters scribble. The teacher don't stop recording. Jasmine don't wait for a reply. She turns and gets in the SUV. By the time they hit the hotel, the 27-second clip is online, exploding across platforms. It's different this time, not a studio or stage, but her tired and unapologetic on a sidewalk in a city that don't want her, with the grit of someone who knows the stakes. That night, Vance tweets Congresswoman Crockett's visit to Ohio was a political stunt. She doesn't care about these kids, she just wants the attention. It backfires hard. Replies flood with parents who've begged for help long before Jasmine showed up, posting pics of water-stained walls, expired cafeteria food, gym floors held with duct tape. One teacher hits back, "We begged your office for a meeting last year. Got ignored. She came. You didn't." Meanwhile, Jasmine don't respond. She's already planning her next stop: South Bend, Rockford, Boise. Her team's beat, but they follow her lead because they feel it too. This ain't about one moment or state. It's a reckoning. But back in D.C., Vance is cooking up a counter-move to crush her momentum. He holds a rally in Fort Wayne, Indiana, near the Ohio border, under a big LED banner, "Back to Basics, Real Solutions for America's Classrooms." He comes out swinging, declaring war on what Jasmine represents. For too long, loud voices have drowned out real ones, he says to a crowd of local officials, business folks, and hand-picked parents. This administration ain't about sound bites, we're about results. While some chase headlines, we're building policies that work. The crowd cheers on cue. Cameras flash. Vance smirks in his Navy suit. He talks up empowering local boards, protecting American values, restoring discipline, but not a word on teacher pay, maintenance, or equity. It's all show till the conda cracks it open. A woman in a green blouse stands, voice shaky, holding up her phone. "This is my son's classroom. 32 desks for 38 kids. Half the lights don't work. I'm not a Democrat, but what Congresswoman Crockett said wasn't wrong. So what are you doing about this?" Vance blinks, caught off guard. A staffer tenses off stage. "I understand your frustration," he starts. "That's why we need to reduce bureaucracy and give control to local leaders." She cuts in. "But that hasn't worked. My kid's still eating lunch on the floor some days. That's not a soundbite, that's real." A few clap cameras don't cut away. Vance's smile tightens. "We're investing in infrastructure." She interrupts louder. "Where? 'Cause my district hasn't seen a penny in 5 years." They take her mic before she finishes, but the damage is done. By nightfall, that clip's viral, two-stitched with pics of similar conditions nationwide. JD's talking points ain't cutting it no more. Behind the scenes, his team knows it. A leaked memo from an aide reads, "We need to pivot." She's not just winning the media cycle, she's making people feel like she's telling their story. JD needs something bigger, concrete. So 3 days later, Vance holds a presser in Columbus in front of a freshly painted, well-funded elementary school. He announces a community classroom revitalization initiative, a $45 million package that sounds dope on paper. But reporters dig in and find most of the money was already budgeted last year. It's not new, just rebranded. And worse, it skips schools that don't hit test score thresholds, aka the ones that need it most. Headlines roast it. VP Vance's education package leaves out most at-risk schools, optics over outcomes. Jasmine don't say a word, the press does it for her. Meanwhile, she's in Rockford, Illinois at a high school where the theater department uses shower curtains as backdrops. She helps paint sets, sights in on a student poetry reading, no cameras, no press releases. A student asks, "Why don't you talk back to him on TV?" She smiles. "'Cause I'm too busy listening to people like you." But the next person she listens to changes everything, starting with a question in a forgotten classroom. It's a last-minute stop at Longview Elementary in South Bend. A squat beige building between shuttered factories, sign missing letters banner reading, "Reading is Power," hanging crooked. Jasmine's staff hesitated. It's small, underfunded, off most officials' radar, but she insisted. "I don't care how small it is," she told Malik. "If they asked, we go." Inside the air's stale hallways, clean but patched together. Students hunch over secondhand books. Teachers use old posters as whiteboards. It's quiet not from order, but from being forgotten. In a third-grade class, a girl named Zadei raises her hand, brown eyes, braids, with plastic barrettes, oversized shirt, saying property of Longview Tigers. Jasmine crouches by her desk. "You got a question for me?" she asks softly. Zadei nods. "Are you the one that said the thing about our schools being broken?" Jasmine smiles a little. "Yeah, that was me." Zadei looks down. "My mom said people on the news were mad about it." Jasmine sits on the desk's edge. Some of them were, but most people, they understood. Zadei tilts her head. "Are you going to fix our school?" Jasmine pauses. All the noise interviews backlash, think pieces fades. "It's just that kid's eyes. I'm going to try," she says, "and I'm not going to stop trying." That convo ain't recorded, no pics taken, but it shifts everything. Later in the teacher's lounge, Principal Jay McNeary, face-lined hands calloused from DIY repairs, says, "We've sent letters for years. Emails, budget requests. Nothing moves." Jasmine replies, "I believe you." He pushes, "Then do something they'll feel in Washington, 'cause speeches won't patch a roof, quotes won't buy new desks." She nods. Back in the SUV, she stares out the window a long time. Taisha asks, "You okay?" Jasmine says, "I need to get back to D.C. I've got an idea." That night, she drafts a proposal for emergency funding for the most neglected public schools. No photo ops, no performance metrics, just immediate help based on conditions. She bypasses state politics, focuses on federal accountability, requires transparent spending reports. She calls it the Zadei Bill. Malik sees the name and just says perfect. By the time they land in Washington, she's got 3 co-sponsors, 2 Dems, 1 independent. A fourth calls after hearing her read Zadei's story on a private conference call. Even as her staff works late formatting the bill, Jasmine sits alone in her office, Zadei's face stuck in her mind. She thinks of all the kids who've asked questions, hoping someone in power answers honestly only to get brushed off. This time, she'll show them different. But word of the Zadei bill leaks fast. By noon, next day, headlines scream Crockett introduces Zadei bill to fix neglected schools. The name alone hits hard. Zadei ain't a policy term or stat. It's a child, and that makes it dangerous to folks who've ignored those kids for years. Lobbyists scramble. The education funding machine, full of contractors and consultants, ain't thrilled. A bill sending money straight to schools, no middlemen, bad for business. Jasmine expects conservative pushback, but the quiet resistance from her own party stings more. In a closed-door House Committee on Education and Labor meeting, she presents charts, photos, receipts, Zadei's story, not for drama, but 'cause numbers ain't enough. Some listen, others squirm. A congressman from Arizona clears his throat. "Look, I respect what you're trying, but this bill's emotionally driven. We need metrics, not feelings." Jasmine locks eyes. Tell that to a kid using a trash bag as a backpack. Tell her to wait till your spreadsheets line up. Silence. The chairwoman, a moderate from Oregon, jumps in, "Let's stay civil." Jasmine, don't flinch. "I am civil. I'm just not quiet." Later, outside the Capitol steps, reporters swarm, wind whipping her blazer, flashbulbs popping. She's calm, firm, not performing. The Zadei bill ain't a perfect bill, but it's a human one. And if we can't pass that in Congress, what are we even doing here? The clip goes viral in minutes. Teachers post under #HumanBillParents, share crumbling wall pics, principals admit faking maintenance reports to avoid shutdowns. But in D.C., the heat rises. Behind closed doors, colleagues get pressured to ditch her. Lobbyists push gutting amendments. Operatives warn it's too soon for something so bold. One senator flat out says she's made enough noise for 1 term. She don't reply, just walks into the next hearing. During a subcommittee testimony on federal spending, she makes headlines again. Reviewing financials from a major education contractor, $300 million over 4 years. No clear data on school improvements. She waits for the exec to finish his spiel, then leans into the mic. "Mr. Klein, can you name one specific school, just one, where your services replaced broken heating, updated books, or removed mold?" He blinks, fumbles papers. "We work with state partners to support infrastructure assessments." She cuts in, "I didn't ask what you assess. I asked who you helped. Name one school." He looks down, can't answer. Room goes quiet. C-SPAN viewers clip it instantly. Education blogs headline "Crockett breaks silence on wasteful spending." Yet the bill stalls. Committee chairs won't schedule a vote. Others hint at delaying till next session. Jasmine's team knows delay means death, so she turns to the people again. She hits union halls, town meetings, church basements. In Kansas City, a janitor stands up. I ain't never voted in my life, but if this bill don't pass, I'll make sure everyone on my block hears about it. That's when Jasmine knows she ain't just pushing policy, she's building a movement. And every movement's got a make-or-break moment. Hers happens in Springfield, Missouri at a small education roundtable at a community college. No national press, just folding chairs, cold coffee, skeptical locals, teachers, parents, state legislators unsure what to make of her. No big entourage, just Taisha, a worn folder with Zadei's letter, and Zadei bill outlines in plain English. She stands up, tells it straight. I didn't come here to say I know what it's like to live in Springfield. I came to say I've heard too many talk about your problems without asking your names. She reads Braylon's letter from Abilene, shows Fairland Elementary pics, tells Zadei's story about the question that keeps her up. By the end, a teacher's wiping tears, a janitor raises his hand. I don't know politics, but I know broken pipes and busted windows. If this bill gets me tools instead of paperwork, I'm in. Something shifts. Next day, a Republican senator from Iowa calls. I don't agree with all of it, but you're doing what nobody else is showing up. I'll support if you're open to revisions that keep funding direct. She is. That night, another message hits her inbox from Senator Grace Wilkins, a conservative from Montana known for strict party line votes. It's short. If you're serious about compromise, I'm willing to talk. Education is education. Within 48 hours, Jasmine's in a private Senate office meeting with Wilkins and her staffers. It ain't warm, but it's honest debate challenge, agree on some, table others. Wilkins extends a hand. You want a shot at this passing, you'll need me. Jasmine shakes it, no hesitation. Word spreads that 2 Republicans joined as co-sponsors. Headlines shift, Zadei bill gains bipartisan traction. Crockett turns viral moment into real legislation. Then Senator Ronald Breen, a Southern conservative against federal spending, stands on the Senate floor. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I walked into a school last month with buckets for leaks and flashlights in classrooms. That's not politics, that's a disgrace. This bill's a start. It's the crack everyone's waited for. In the House, pressure builds, constituents flood inboxes, school boards pass resolutions, PTAs hold town halls, one reads student letters at their state capitol. J.D. Vance stays quiet for once. Advisors urge a response, but every move risks looking petty. Reporters keep asking, where do you stand on the Zadei bill? Jasmine never calls him out by name again. She don't have to. Every school visit, handwritten note, shared late-night meeting without cameras. It says more than any press release. But one final hurdle stands before a floor vote, and it'll require her to risk everything. The night before, Jasmine sits alone in her office, lights low papers like a map of months walked. The Capitol's quiet staff, gone, media distracted by another scandal. She ain't thinking headlines, she's thinking Zadei. She pulls out the letter, creased from unfolding eyes, tracing. I think you care because you said something real. That's why she's here. Next morning, the chamber buzzes, reporters pack the gallery. Staffers watch on screens. It ain't just a vote, it's a reckoning. Opposition don't go quiet. Lawmakers call the Zadei bill fiscally reckless, emotionally manipulative, cultural point scoring at taxpayer expense. Jasmine don't interrupt, don't rush the mic. She waits, listens, then rises, not from notes, just her voice. I didn't come to Congress to be famous, she starts. I didn't come to go viral. I came because too many in this country live like they don't matter to the people in this room. They wait and nothing changes. She pauses. And if all of this, the noise, the attacks, the politics, if it was just so one little girl could ask why her school's falling apart, then I'd do it all over again. Silence. Votes roll in, one by one, some expected, some shocking. It passes narrow, but it passes. Reporters scramble, staffers cry. Jasmine sits still a moment, then turns to Taisha in the gallery, mouthing, "We did it." News breaks fast. Zadei bill passes Congress, takes historic step against odds. Crockett turns viral moment into law. Vance issues a vague statement next day. No congrats. Jasmine don't care. 2 days later, she's back at Longview Elementary in South Bend, unannounced, asking to see Zadei. The girl in her oversized shirt gasps. "You came back," Jasmine kneels. "I told you I'd try, and I want you to know you helped make this happen." Zadei blinks. "Is my school gonna be fixed now?" "Yes," Jasmine says. "Not all at once, but it's coming. And other schools too, 'cause people listened. They hug, no cameras, just the ending that matters." Back in D.C., pundits dissect the vote. Some call it luck, others strategy. But for those watching close, it's proof one voice speaking plain and true can matter. A moment of honesty held long enough can become more. Jasmine's back at work Monday, no fanfare, just her team folders, new invites from school districts. 'Cause there's still broken desks, leaking roofs, kids like Zadei waiting for someone to show up. And she will. This was never about a mic drop on live TV. It's about who stays when the lights go out. If you've made it this far, maybe you care too. So speak up, vote, show up. Someone's listening, and they need to know you're there. By the time they landed in Washington, she had already secured 3 co-sponsors, 2 Democrats and 1 independent, a 4th called later that night after watching a leaked clip of Jasmine reading Zadei's story aloud on a private conference call, even as her staff worked late into the night. Formatting the bill, Jasmine sat alone in her office. Zadei's face stuck in her mind. She thought about all the times kids like her had asked questions hoping someone in power would answer honestly, and how often they got brushed off. This time, she would show them something different. But the minute word of the Zadei bill leaked, Washington's political machinery kicked into overdrive, and some people didn't want it passed at all. Word spread fast by noon. The next day, every major political outlet had one headline in common. Crockett introduces Zadei bill to fix neglected schools. The name alone stirred something. Zadei wasn't a policy term. It wasn't a statistic, it was a child, and that made it dangerous for the people who'd spent years pretending those children didn't exist within hours. Lobbyists were scrambling. The education funding establishment, bloated with contractors and consultants, wasn't thrilled a bill that sent money straight to schools without routing it through layers of middlemen that was bad for business. Jasmine expected pushback from conservatives, but it was the quiet resistance from within her own party that stung the most. In a closed-door meeting of the House Committee on Education and Labor, she presented her proposal, charts, photographs, receipts. She told Zadei's story not for drama, but because the numbers weren't enough anymore. Some members listened, others shifted in their seats. One congressman from Arizona cleared his throat and said, "Look, I respect what you're trying to do, but this bill, it's emotionally driven. We need metrics, not feelings." Jasmine locked eyes with him. Tell that to a kid using a trash bag as a backpack. Tell her to wait until your spreadsheets line up. Silence. The chairwoman, a moderate from Oregon, jumped in. "Let's stay civil." Jasmine didn't flinch. "I am civil. I'm just not quiet." Later that afternoon, she stood outside the Capitol steps surrounded by reporters. The wind whipped through her blazer as flashbulbs fired. She was calm, firm, not performing. The Zadei bill is not a perfect bill, but it's a human one. And if we can't pass that in Congress, what are we even doing here? The clip went viral within minutes across the country. Teachers began posting under the hashtag Human Bill. Parents shared photos of crumbling walls and overcrowded gyms. Even a few school principals came forward anonymously, admitting that they had faked maintenance reports to avoid shutdowns. But in Washington, the temperature was rising behind closed doors. Jasmine's colleagues were being pressured to walk away. Lobbyists offered amendments that would gut the bill's core. Political operatives warned her it was too soon to push something so bold. One senator flat out told her she'd made enough noise for one term. She didn't respond. She just walked into the next hearing. It was there during a subcommittee testimony on federal spending that Jasmine made headlines again. She'd been reviewing financial statements from a major federal education contractor, a firm that had received $300 million over the past 4 years, but had no clear data on how the funds improved school conditions. She waited for the executive to finish his prepared remarks. Then she leaned into the mic. "Mr. Klein, can you name one specific school, just one, where your services have replaced broken heating, updated books, or removed mold?" The man blinked, fumbled, paper shuffled. We work with state partners to support infrastructure assessments." She cut him off. "I didn't ask what you assess. I asked who you helped name one school." He looked down, couldn't answer. The room fell quiet. C-SPAN viewers clipped it instantly. Education blogs reposted it with the headline, "Crockett breaks the silence on wasteful spending." And yet, despite the rising support, the bill stalled. Committee chairs wouldn't schedule a vote. Others hinted it might be more realistic to delay until next session. Jasmine's team knew the game delay meant death, so she turned to the people. Again, she started visiting union halls, town meetings, church basements in Kansas City. A janitor stood up and said, "I ain't never voted in my life, but if this bill don't pass, I'll make sure everyone on my block hears about it." That's when Jasmine knew she wasn't just leading a policy fight, she was building a movement. But every movement has a moment where it either collapses or catches fire, and hers was just around the corner. It happened in a place nobody expected: Springfield, Missouri. Jasmine Crockett had been invited to speak at a small education roundtable hosted by a local community college. It was modest, no national press, just folding chairs, cold coffee, and a mix of public school teachers, parents, and state legislators who weren't quite sure what to make of her. She didn't arrive with cameras or a big entourage. Just Taisha, a worn leather folder containing Zadei's letter, and a stack of folders outlining the Zadei bill in plain English. The room was skeptical. These weren't progressives or policy wonks. They were regular folks tired of hearing promises from people who never came back. Once the news vans left, Jasmine stood in front of them and told the truth. "I didn't come here to tell you. I know what it's like to live in Springfield," she said. "I came here to say, I've heard too many people talk about your problems without ever asking your names." Then she opened the folder. She read part of Braylon's letter from Abilene, showed photos from Fairland Elementary in Dayton, and she told them about Zadei, about the question that still kept her up some nights. By the end, one teacher was wiping tears from her eyes. Another man, a longtime janitor in the district, raised his hand. "I don't know politics, but I know broken pipes and busted windows. If this bill gets me tools instead of paperwork, I'm in." Something shifted the next day. Jasmine got a call from a Republican senator from Iowa. "I don't agree with all of it," he said, "but you're doing the thing nobody else is doing, showing up. I'll support the bill if you're open to revisions that still keep the funding direct." She was. That same night, another unexpected message landed in her inbox from Senator Grace Wilkins, a conservative from Montana, known for voting strictly along party lines. Her message was short: "If you're serious about compromise, I'm willing to talk. Education is education within 48 hours. Jasmine was in a private meeting in a Senate office building, seated across from Wilkins and two of her staffers. It wasn't warm, but it was honest. They debated, challenged, agreed on some things, and left others on the table. But by the end, Wilkins extended a hand. "You want a shot at this passing? You'll need me." Crockett shook it without hesitation. When word got out that 2 Republicans had joined the list of co-sponsors, the media finally caught up to the movement. Headlines changed tone. Zadei bill gains bipartisan traction. Crockett turns viral moment into real legislation. J.D. Vance on defense as bill gains momentum, and then came the moment nobody saw coming. Senator Ronald Breen, a Southern conservative with a long history of opposing federal spending bills, stood on the Senate floor and said, "I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I walked into a school last month where they were using buckets for leaks and flashlights in classrooms. That's not politics. That's a disgrace. And this bill, it's a start." It was the crack in the wall everyone had been waiting for. In the House, pressure began building. Constituents flooded inboxes. Local school boards passed resolutions urging Congress to vote. PTA groups held town halls. One even organized a reading of student letters in front of their state capitol. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance stayed quiet for once. Advisors urged him to respond, launch a new proposal, schedule another rally. But every move risked looking petty. His silence, however, didn't stop reporters from asking one question over and over: "Where do you stand on the Zadei bill?" Crockett, for her part, never called him out by name again. She didn't have to. Every school she visited, every handwritten note she shared, every late-night committee meeting she sat through without cameras. It all said more than any press release ever could. But even with momentum on her side, one final challenge stood between Jasmine and a floor vote, and this one would require her to risk everything. The night before the vote, Jasmine Crockett sat alone in her office, lights low, papers spread out like a map. She'd been walking for months. The Capitol was quiet. Her staff had gone home. The media had turned their attention elsewhere for the evening. Another scandal, another speech. But Jasmine wasn't thinking about headlines. She was thinking about Zadei. She pulled out the letter again, creased from being unfolded too many times. Her eyes traced the sentence she'd read 100 times. "I think you care, because you said something real that was the whole reason she was still here." The next morning, the chamber buzzed with tension. Reporters packed the gallery. Staffers watched from screens all over the building. It was clear this wasn't just a vote. It was a reckoning. The opposition didn't go quietly. Several lawmakers stood and spoke out against the Zadei bill, calling it fiscally reckless, emotionally manipulative, and even an attempt to score cultural points at the taxpayers' expense. But Jasmine didn't interrupt. She didn't rush the mic. She waited, listened, then she rose to speak, not from notes, not from a teleprompter, just her voice. I didn't come to Congress to be famous, she began. I didn't come to go viral. I came because too many people in this country live like they don't matter to the people in this room. They wait and wait, and nothing changes. She paused. And if all of this, the noise, the attacks, the politics, if all of it was just so one little girl could ask me why her school's falling apart, then I'd do it all over again. Silence, then, came the votes one by one. Names echoed through the chamber, some expected, some shocking, and then it passed by a narrow margin. But it passed. Reporters scrambled cameras. Clicked, staffers cried. Jasmine sat still for a moment before turning to Taisha, who'd watched from the gallery, mouthing the words, "We did it." News broke within minutes. Zadei bill passes. Congress takes historic step towards school repair funding against the odds. Crockett turns viral moment into federal law students win first in education battle. J.D. Vance issued a brief statement the next morning, non-committal measured, and notably without congratulations. But at that point, Jasmine didn't care. She flew to South Bend 2 days later unannounced. She walked back into Longview Elementary and asked the principal if she could see Zadei. When they brought her to the office, the little girl wore the same oversized shirt. She looked up and gasped. "You came back." Jasmine knelt beside her and smiled. "I told you I'd try, and I want you to know you helped make this happen." Zadei blinked slowly. "Is my school going to be fixed now?" "Yes," Jasmine said, "not all at once, but it's coming, and other schools too, because people listened." The two hugged. No cameras, no press, just the ending that mattered back in D.C. Pundits dissected the vote. Some called it luck, others called it strategy. But for those who had been watching closely, it was something else. It was proof that one voice speaking plainly and truthfully could still matter, that a moment of honesty, if held long enough, could become something more. Jasmine Crockett went back to work the following Monday like she always did. No fanfare, just her team, her folders, and a few new invitations from school districts she hadn't visited yet, because there were still broken desks, still leaking roofs, still kids like Zadei waiting for someone to show up, and she would, because in the end, this was never about a mic drop moment on live TV. It was about who stayed behind when the lights went out. And if you've made it this far, maybe you care too. So speak up, vote, show up, because someone's listening, and they need to know you're there.